In the modern world, engineering affects the lives of all people, nations, and cultures. Like the rest of society, the profession of engineering is undergoing massive change. The culture of engineers must change to keep up. As we shall see, this culture has developed over centuries. Engineering dates back to ancient times. The pyramids of Egypt, irrigation in India, and the Great Wall of China are ancient structures that remain impressive even by modern standards. Roman cities were famous for their civil engineering and public works projects. However, these ancient achievements were often isolated by time and space and evolved independently of one another. Modern engineering evolved from scientific discovery and a systematic approach to the physical sciences. Its earliest roots lie in the Italian Renaissance, when European alchemy combined with Arab discovery and classical scientific works. Empirical science gave way to technological evolution and led to the Industrial Revolution. It began in Britain in the 18th century when private enterprise produced the first large-scale demand for civilian engineers. These early engineers learned their trade through apprenticing. This method became the standard way of training engineers in Britain. To promote their profession, British engineers founded the Institution of Civil Engineers, the first engineering association in the world. Receiving a royal charter in 1828, its objective was to ensure persons were qualified by proper training and experience to carry out civil engineering work. From its founding, the institution promoted apprenticeship for training. In class-conscious Britain, that meant engineering was viewed as a navvy occupation. However, the view of engineering in France evolved somewhat differently. In the 18th century, the government of France embarked on a major program of road and bridge construction. To train the necessary engineers, the L'École Royale des Ponts et Chaussées was opened. It introduced the systematic study of mathematics and established a 3-year curriculum. Unlike Britain, state interest and the focus on an academic culture gave engineering in France a high social standing. These two engineering cultures, the French academic and the British practical hands-on training model, spread around the world through their empires. The first institutions of modern engineering education outside of Britain were usually associated with the military. In short order, military academies of engineering were set up in Moscow, Prague, Paris, and at West Point in the United States. By the 19th century, the ideas of academic freedom and learning through seminars and research caught on. These ideas were championed by Wilhelm von Humboldt, and this German model of education was so successful that it spread to the rest of Europe. After independence, the United States had no formal method for training engineers. Initially, they followed the British practice of apprenticeship. This did not meet the needs of the expanding republic. Hence, the government established the U.S. Military Academy at West Point in 1802 to train artillery and engineering officers. By 1825, a uniquely American engineering culture had started to evolve. In that year, institutions such as Washington College, Princeton, and New York University offered partial programs ranging from single courses to year-long certificates. These courses were offered at locations away from their main campuses. In 1847, Harvard and Yale launched full undergraduate programs in engineering, but these were still located at outside facilities. The Morrill Act of 1862, which granted land to encourage education in the agricultural and mechanical arts, resulted in the formation of engineering schools set inside Pennsylvania State University, MIT, and Cornell University. These institutions were first to offer a combination of lectures, drawing, and surveying classes, and shop work to balance education and hands-on training. The demand for trained engineers was not restricted to just the United States or Europe. As the Industrial Revolution spread around the world, so did the need for engineers. In India, 3 engineering colleges were opened between 1847 and 1856. Still more colleges were founded later in the century in what is today Pakistan. Canada also experienced tremendous growth during the middle of the 19th century, and it too had no established means for training engineers. Because Canadian projects were not as lucrative as those in larger markets, there was difficulty attracting foreign-trained engineers. To solve this deficit, Canadian universities started offering engineering programs in the 1850s, the first being King's College, now the University of New Brunswick, in 1854. McGill, the University of Toronto, and Montreal's École Polytechnique soon followed. As the century progressed, schools expanded their scopes of training to include new engineering disciplines arising from advances in technology. As we saw, by the end of the 19th century, modern engineering had emerged as a distinct occupation. In Europe, the German Humboldtian model of training dominated, while in Britain, apprenticeships and practical knowledge held sway. However, in much of the rest of the world, the fusions of the two traditions had taken root. The United States was in the vanguard of this movement, creating a new engineering culture where education and practice were balanced.